Hello, welcome to another recent game pickups video. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. I was trying to let my games accumulate over time. Plus, a few months ago, I also bought one of the newer systems, and so I've been buying games for that, and they might not like me talking about them on here. I think we all know who I'm talking about. But, yeah. So, NES, we have Cade, which is an overhead shooter that's, you play as, it's for two players, but you play as these guys on the motorcycle, and a typical shooter, you shoot at bad guys and tanks. The music's awesome, and that's about it. And we got Ninja Kid, which is your typical side-scroller, you play as this ninja. You can kind of see the gameplay in there. Shows it, what it's like. Uses a shuriken, I believe, or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's not bad. And we got one of my all-time favorite movies, Willow. Yeah, it's... Now, how is this game, you ask? I don't know. I can't get the damn thing to work. I've tried everything, which you're not supposed to do, but whatever, it works. I jiggle around in the system. I cleaned it out several times. It just won't work. I quit. That might be why. Death rattle. But, yeah, I could try it again, trying to get it to work. Just, I'm determined to get it to work, I guess you could say it. It's from what I understand, it's a lot like The Legend of Zelda. The same type of gameplay, adventure mode type of stuff. Yeah, I love that movie. That's why I was like, I have to get this game, but if I could just get it to work, and the back is filthy. Then we have the classic racing game, Rad Racer, which was featured in the movie The Wizard, which I don't think I remember. I'm sure my brother rented this or played it, but I feel like I have played it as a kid, but I don't remember it too much. But yeah, it's fun. It's a classic racing game. Then we have another movie-based game, Jaws, which it still stands out pretty good. The movie still stands out to this day, even though it came out like 30 years ago. Maybe I just like classic horror stuff. But the game is somewhat decent. It's not bad. I mean, it's not great either, but it's just, even though it's made by LJN, who, if you're not familiar with them, let me put it this way. Today, EA owns the rights to pretty much everything, franchises and stuff. Like, they own the rights to The Simpsons, so only they can make Simpsons games, nobody else can. But they still make good games, or decent games, of course. Back in the day, it was LJN that owned the rights to everything, and they made garbage. They just didn't care. Because they knew it would sell just by the title. That's all that mattered. The game is... it's weird. It's almost like RPG style or something, but it's very repetitive. It's a repetitive game, which maybe I just like repetitive stuff. Maybe that's why I like it. Yeah. Speaking of NES, I also have just a second here. I also bought one of the turbo controllers, or NES Max, which the analog is a little bit loose. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or not, but you can also use this circular D-pad, and there's the turbo buttons, which are good for games like Jaws, because this is a game where you have to keep pushing the button in order to shoot. You have to keep pushing, or you could just hold the turbo button. It's not like something like Contra, where you just hold down the shoot button and it fires. Or Blaster Master is another good example. You have to keep pushing the button and the enemies take so many hits. But that's a good game, Blaster Master. I also have some Game Boy games, including Toxic Crusaders, which I remember the show. I don't think I saw the movie recently. I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't remember it. The show I remember, the old cartoon. I used to have the NES one, which was so bad. I mean, part of the problem was the game was impossible. I don't think I ever made it past the second level, which is literally, I never made it past the second level. I might be able to get further in it now, because I'm older, but Because that's the thing, even though the game sucked, after watching people do reviews on it and stuff, it makes me want to play it again. Because that's what happens when you see someone playing an old NES game or something, it makes you like, oh, I want to play that. Yeah, but this one is... It's not bad. It's better than the NES one, definitely. It's just a side-scrolling shooter, and you can actually play as all the characters from the show, like No Zone and, I forget the Headbanger and the other characters. Then I have... That was regular Game Boy. I have Game Boy Color. It's Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 imported onto the Game Boy Color. Because I didn't really get into went from Dragon Warrior to Dragon Quest. I never really got into this series till about my teen years. But ever since then, I'm definitely a big fan of the series. I love the style of the characters and stuff. It's almost like, kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z almost. But, yeah, they're great games, you know. The new ones are really good, too. And we're going to move on to Super Nintendo, which is my favorite. We have King Arthur's World, which for some reason has serial numbers all over it. And it's alright. It's a lot like Lemmings. You remember Lemmings? Of course you do. It's pretty much like that, but medieval, and the characters are... You know, you have to escort them across the level, and they can actually... Some of them can fend for themselves, you just have to clear obstacles and stuff. But, yeah, it's alright. And we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, which was a Ninja Turtles fighting game. I think it was like a dozen characters, and I know my brother rented this a couple of times. But I feel like for some reason I remember the NES version more. I don't know why, maybe it's because yeah, it was alright. You know, it's interesting to see the Ninja Turtles. Like for example, Michelangelo has a move where he like does like a vomit move, almost like Chaos from Primal Rage, which is kind of weird. But there was some, you know, obviously there's the four Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo, Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello, and Shredder. Then there was other characters, like, I forget his name, but it was this shark guy. I remember him, he was really cool. I think he was my favorite. There was Wingnut, remember Wingnut the Bat guy? There was this robotic samurai-looking guy, or samurai-looking robot. I think his name was Chrome Dome. My brother and I used to have the toy of him, actually. But yeah, that's that game, Ninja Turtles game. Before I talk about this one, I just want to say that when it comes to classic games, I'm a sucker for space shooters, whether it's a side-scroller like Life Force and arcades, an overhead view like Galaga, or a third-person view like Star Fox. You know, I love space shooter types, any type of flying thing, really. So we have Super R-Type, which is, you know, like I said, I like space shooters. It's a good game, really, really good game. I like it. Made by Irem, who made a lot of weird stuff, but this game isn't bad. Yeah, actually, it's not. It's far from bad. It's good. Sounds like the log song from Ren and Stimpy. Now we have Vortex, which is... I actually read about this in a Nintendo Power, and I was like, because I collected those as well, and I was like, that sounds kind of cool, so I bought it, and it's one of those games that utilizes the classic FX chip. Remember that for the Super Nintendo? It was built into the Super Nintendo, and it would allow three-dimensional shapes in the games for like Star Fox, Stunt Racer FX. I think Mega Man X2 utilized this as well, because you know how you fight when you fight. Spoiler alert! You fight Sigma. When you fight him at the end, he's like the head, and it's all like virtual or something. The sword you fight in a level. But yeah, this game is literally like Star Fox. It's the same idea, but you're, instead of a R-wing, you're a like a robot, and you can change the different shapes, including a jet, a tank, and some kind of car thing, because you have to change the shapes to fight different enemy bosses and get different obstacles and stuff. Yeah, it's a good game. It's not bad, really. It's definitely a lot more challenging, so if you like the original Star Fox for Super Nintendo, but you didn't think it was challenging enough, then this game is for you. Vortex, yeah. Now, N64, this is going to be kind of my main focus, I guess you could say, because I've had my N64 for almost 15 years, and I just noticed recently that it's like, wow, I've had that game for all these years, and I only have like a dozen, that system for all these years, and I only have like a dozen games for it, so I'm trying to work on that one a little bit. Now we have, Blast Core, which, yeah, it's alright. It's basically, I thought, because of the cover, I thought it was some kind of like, it's like a guy in a hazmat suit almost looks like, or maybe it's just me, but I thought it was going to be some kind of like post-apocalyptic overhead shooter. Sorry, that's what I thought it was going to be like. Instead, it's basically you drive like different construction trucks and this guy in like a power suit, not like Metroid, but you destroy buildings and clear obstacles and stuff for other vehicles to go through. It's kind of fun for... yeah. Then we have Pilot Wings 64, which I'm pretty sure was one of the launch titles for N64, and much like the original Pilot Wings was launched for Super Nintendo. There's also a fairly new one for 3DS, which is Pilot Wings Resort, which is good. But I think I think the first one for Super Nintendo is my favorite. One of the what do you call it? One of the things you do in the game that was always my favorite, and I kind of wish they'd bring it back, was the skydiving. I always liked that, even though he's doing it on the cover. But I didn't play this a lot, so maybe the skydiving is in there. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I could be wrong. Now we have Lego Racers, which is it's really cool, because you can make your own Lego minifigure and your own vehicle and everything. So, yeah. Oh, another racing game, F-Zero X, which, now this game has the kid's name on it, Justin something. It's been almost it's been almost 10 years since a new F-Zero game came out. The last one came out for GameCube in 2005. What are you waiting for, Nintendo? Listen to your fans. I've seen other people asking for a new F-Zero game. Yeah, this one's good. It has tons of characters in it, more than the original Super Nintendo. But the Super Nintendo is still a good one. Every time I dig out my Super Nintendo and like a handful of the games to play, I almost always dig out F-Zero to play. And what's funny is a funny story. I remember McDonald's years ago had the Happy Meal toy was like this little car thing that it was like a little hollow hover car thing that came with, I forget what you call it. Hold on. Old Lego manual from 2001. Yeah, or mini catalog, I guess you could say. I got a thing for Legos. But that race car thing or hover car thing from McDonald's, it came with, I forget what you call them, one of these things that you punch down on it, and it like shoots out a thing of air. So it came with, it was one of those, like a little mini racing thing, and it was fun. Ironically, there was 4 of them, and it was like, I think my brother and I had them all, because our mom worked at McDonald's and she could get them for us. But it's funny, it was around the time, it was during the Super Nintendo era and F-Zero and stuff, and it was funny. My brother and I always said it was like a lot like F-Zero, so whenever I play the classic Super Nintendo F-Zero, it makes me think of those things. But moving on. Now, my brother has always had this game. I don't know why I never bought it. We used to play it all the time, like deathmatch and stuff. It's a classic. Jet Force Gemini, made by Rare, who's been with Microsoft for a number of years now. I remember this game was awesome. I don't know why I never bought it, like I just said, but you get crash land on a planet and fight these insects and stuff. I think it's third-person view. Yeah, third-person shooting game. wicked good game. Must play for the N64 library. And the previous user put the because N64. I mean, the other systems had N labels, but N64 didn't. So the kid wrote it on there. Well, actually, I think it's that way, but. Yeah, I'm surprised. I found this for a rather cheap price, which I was kind of surprised. Like, 'cause it's a great game. One more N64 game. Bomberman 64, which I think is probably debatably one of the best Bomberman games ever made. However, my favorite is Bomberman Tournament for Game Boy Advance. That one is awesome. But this one is really good, too. It was one of the first three-dimensional Bomberman games. And, it had, like, there's always the bomber characters, like, one of the 5 that were featured in most Bomberman games was, I think, Magnet Bomber, Pretty Bomber, Plasma Bomber, Golem Bomber, and Brain Bomber. This one had a new guy, I forget what his name was, he was, like, black and gold and red, and he had 3 Bomberman henchmen or something. I think they came from another planet or something. One of them was, like, a ninja. It was really cool. There was also, like, a flying Bomberman type character who helped you, gave you, like, hints and stuff, but, yeah, really good game. Now, I only got 2 more games left. For Xbox 360, Naughty Bear. Ooh, naughty. Yeah, I saw this, at GameStop. It caught my eye, because I like weird stuff. It's pretty much like, it's a lot like Manhunt, but with teddy bears. So it's instead of blood, it's stuffing, which is probably the only reason it's rated T. Because it's the same idea. You sneak around and, like, kill teddy bears and do, like, different fatalities depending on the weapon. You can shove their face in a toilet and drown them and things like that. Basically, the plot is you play as this bear, or teddy bear. There's another picture of him on the back there, a wanted poster. He's like an outcast from his, he's an outcast, basically, so he wasn't invited to this big party, which I think we've all been there, and he's upset about it, and he just basically snaps and goes to kill them all. Yeah, there he is killing one of them right there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like those types of games. Yeah. Now, one last game, because, it's, like I said, I bought one of the new systems, and, I'm going to show this game for it because it's a third-party company. It came out over a year ago, and it's on all the systems, so hopefully this shouldn't be a problem. Ducktales Remastered by Capcom. I don't know if I ever played the NES version, because that's what this is, a remake of the NES classic. I feel like I probably did, because I'm sure my brother rented it, and I think I might remember it, but I remember the show, of course. That's the thing, this song, the title screen has the DuckTales theme, and after playing it, I had that stuck in my head for like a week. And I was like, I have to watch the show now, which I still need to get. Yeah, wicked good game. It's on all the systems, like Xbox One and PlayStation PS3 or 4 maybe, but yeah, I'd definitely play it. It's a really good game. Well, that's all the games I got for now, so until next time, toodaloo!